Welcome to May's Human Design Transit Report. And I want to say welcome to all the new subscribers that are here. I'm delighted that you're here. And on this channel, we really dive into a lot of nuances with human design. And you can find a lot of training videos on type, strategy, authority, all the fundamentals of human design, as well as years of transit reports on my channel. So if those are things that are interested to you, then I would suggest you go check it out. You can find playlists and so on my channel. And today we're going to dive into what's happening from a human design point of view during the month of May. This is a high level assessment, and I do individual videos that focus on particularly significant things over the course of the month as well. So we're going to go ahead and just take a look at what the kind of big things are that are happening, so you can to really take advantage of all of the extra energies that are going to be coming your way that you may not otherwise know about, and also how to avoid the potential liabilities and pitfalls that can come as well. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. Before we dive into the specifics of the May transit report, I want to make a couple of announcements. One is that I'm really delighted to be pulling together a video, a series that also has a workbook, which is a guide for understanding how to utilize the human design transits. And we have been working with this in the Sovereign Sisterhood over the course of the spring semester. And so I've learned a lot of different things about how different people use the transits and what that means for them, kind of what to focus on, what not so much. So we've been really working this material, and now I'm pulling it together into a guide that you'll be able to use. It's a self-study that you can take with you for every month. And there'll be parts in the workbook that you can utilize over and over again. And then really just diving into what are the specific things that are the transits bring you? What is the difference between astrology and human design? How do they complement each other? Because they really do, and that kind of thing. So there'll be a link below for you to be able to register right away to receive a video training about the kind of the fundamentals of the transits, and that's totally free for you. And it'll also be the kind of the wait list for when this other program comes out, the guide for understanding human design transits. So go ahead and check that out in the link below and get that first video for yourself, and then you can decide if the guide is something that you want to invest in for yourself later on when it comes out. So that's the first announcement. The second announcement is that our Sovereign Sisterhood will be opening registration for our summer semester a little bit later this month. And so we're going to be diving into life purpose and soul purpose, and really utilizing the materials that are helping us to understand from human design, but also from other aspects as well. Because human design gives us templates for understanding aspects of our soul purpose and our life purpose, but there's also other materials that really help us to go deeper with that, and also help us to release the resistance that we might have into stepping into our true power and our true purpose, because a lot of times we do have resistance to that from our programming and from our conditioning. And so in the sisterhood, as we're unfolding that over the course of the summer semester, we're going to be looking at lots of different aspects of that. I think that purpose is so huge right now. I mean, purpose is always big, but given how much that we have rapid change happening in our world today, a lot of things are breaking apart and falling away. And you also might just be feeling, because the change is happening inside of you as well, that it's really time for an upgrade. It's really time for a change, for you to understand yourself more deeply, and to just stop caring about, what it is maybe you were taught you were supposed to be, or who you were supposed to be, and let all that go and allow yourself to truly blossom from the core of your being. So that's what we're going to be focusing on during the summer semester for this Sovereign Sisterhood. And that'll be coming up, the registration for that will be coming up just in about a week to 10 days. So be paying attention for that. All right. So let's go ahead and dive in for our May transit report. Well, let's start with Beltane, May Day, May 1st. And I did a special video about Beltane, which you can go and check out here if you want to, because I went really kind of deep into the configurations of what's happening, because there's really a lot to be aware of and a lot to take advantage of. So I just want to wish you a happy Beltane, happy May Day. This in earth-based spirituality, which was the indigenous spirituality for much of old Europe, was the beginning of summer. And so it's a day generally of celebration. And so we're in this window of Beltane for a few days. So whenever you're watching this, just know that this is a celebration of fertility, of life coming back big and strong in the springtime here in the Northern Hemisphere, and an invitation to you to just blossom, blossom, blossom. No matter what's going on in the insanity of the human world, just remember, the living world always comes back and blooms at this time of year, and so can you. And we are now in the time of Taurus. We'll be in the time of Taurus until May 20th. 21st, we'll move into Gemini. And Taurus is ruled by Venus. And we've got this beautiful energy, really grounded energy. It's a really good time for you to be working with your relationship with the planet, with Gaia, and also with the living world, and with really grounding yourself. And you'll see in a minute that we don't have much going on in that root center this month. So it's really a great time for you to be using your own focus to be energizing your root and connecting it down into the earth. Here are all of the gates that the sun and the earth are going to be lighting up over the course of the month. You can go ahead and take a screenshot of this. I find this to be really useful. And one recommendation I would just have, and you can take a look at the image here of where the gates are in the body graph that are being lit up by the sun and the earth. And you can see, do you have hanging gates that meet with any of these ones, right? Do you have one that's kind of hanging out there? It doesn't have its mate, and you see it lit up during the course of the month. That could be a really big alignment for you. And if you just take a look at this image of the sun and the earth gates, you'll see that the central channel is really lit up, and it's all in the knowing circuit. Okay, all of these gates that are lit up here in the central channel are in the knowing circuit. The 3420, which is also lit up over here, is also individual circuitry. So we have a lot of individual circuitry being lit up this month, and particularly in the knowing circuit. Individual circuitry, here to be different, here to bring change, doesn't fit in. And it is where evolutionary energy is running through the body graph and is running through you, my friend. And then if you take a look at this image, these are all of the different gates that are going to be lit up by all of the planets during the month of May. And you can see that not only do we have, again, this central channel lit up and here, but we have got the Ajna center is going to be defined, the throat's going to be defined, the G center, the sacral, and the will center. Okay. So this is really a powerful time where maybe a lot of extra definition is coming your way. I know for me, when I was running my charts, taking a look at how it's going to be influencing me, every single center is lit up in my chart. I also have channels going from the will center to the throat over on this side. And then also that 3420 is going to be lighting this up for me. And also the 317. So I have just got everything lit up, and I'm a manifesting generator multiple times. And so I'm really noticing that I have a massive amount of extra energy right now. And I have had through April, because a lot of this has been going on, and it's going to continue to go on. So this is one of the reasons for you to be following the transits. Is I'm noticing all this extra energy. And what that is signaling to me is utilize the energy while it's here, because it's not going to stay here, right? The planets are going to move on. Some things are going to be here for a while, but the planets are going to move on. So it's like, use that energy while you have it. And I'm also aware that when some of these things move on and I don't have all this definition and I don't have all this energy going to my throat, because, in my natal chart, I have an open throat. When I don't have that, I'm also going to need to rest, because it means I've got a lot of extra energy that I don't really have the definition to hold on to in my chart, but I can utilize it when it's here. So this is one of the ways that you can start to really work with these transits for your own benefit. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at what is happening with some of these outer planets, because we have got, again, just really powerful astrology happening. I just want to note here that Neptune moved into Aries at the end of March and is going to be in Aries for a while. It's going to retrograde in the summer back into Pisces for a little bit and then move fully into Aries back in February of 2026. But for right now, we've got Neptune in Aries and is still in the gate 25. And this is a powerful alignment for us. And it's part of how all of the different planets have been coming together right around this Pisces Aries axis, and Neptune is there and it's going to be there for a while. And then on May 5th, Saturn is going to move into the gate 25 and is going to meet the Neptune there. Now, Saturn isn't going to move into Aries until the end of May 24th, but is going to move into that gate 25. So from a human design point of view, these two are now both inhabiting this one gate. And this gate is the gate of the love of spirit. It's beautiful. It is part of how we understand our relationship to our own inner being, the light being that you are, that is animating this physical form that you have. You are an energy being, right? And that is your spirit that is speaking to you through this physical form. And so we've got this beautiful gate of the love of spirit, or just spirit, that is lit up. And Neptune has been there, right? And now Saturn is coming. And so I've been saying for quite a while that it's a really good time to start a spiritual practice or to upgrade your spiritual practice. If you've kind of fallen off of it or it's gotten stale for you. And so Neptune brings in the love. Neptune brings in the sense of possibility, the sense of the all that is, the connection to the unconscious and the connection to the great void of the all that is, right? So Neptune brings that energy in. But then when we have Saturn is going to bring in structure and discipline. So if it's been challenging for you to create your own spiritual practice, now when Saturn comes in, you may feel that extra oomph to be able to say, I'm going to build some personal discipline around this. So this is an example where when you know that this is happening, you can then take advantage of this and say, okay, I've wanted to have a spiritual practice for X amount of time, or I've wanted to upgrade it. I've wanted to bring in new elements, or I've wanted to shift things, or I've wanted to make it longer. I've wanted to make it a bigger part of my life. Saturn moving into that gate 25 is going to support you in doing that. So not only this, but we also have the whole channel of that 25-51. So the 51 is in the will center, and the 25 is in the G center. And I talked about this a lot in the Beltane video. So you can go check it out here for a deeper dive into this. But just to say that these are the two parts of the heart chakra that in the human design lore broke into two centers at the end of the 18th century and became the will center and the G center. And they're connected through this channel of the 25-51, which is known as the channel of the priest or the priestess or the shaman in traditional human design, or initiation in quantum human design. And we have got Mercury right here at the beginning of the month is lighting up that gate 51, and then Venus will move into it later in the month. And so those of you who have the gate 51 already lit up in your chart, like I do, you're going to be feeling this for quite a while because Neptune is going to be there. But in addition to that, if you don't have this lit up in your chart, you could be feeling this more during this particular window. So I would mark those in your calendar to the May 1st through 4th and the 21st through the 27th, and just see if you start to feel that you have more access really to your heart, and also the ability to create your own breakthroughs. Because this is the thing that the 51 really gives us. It's initiation. It's our ability to initiate ourselves into higher conscious, to activate our own ability to break through resistance, to break through programming, to break through conditioning. and to not have to wait for some outside event or person or situation to arise that kind of forces the breakthrough, right? Which is a lot of times how we live. We just kind of keep plugging along, doing our thing until something from the outside comes in and you go, oh my God. And then you have a breakthrough. And that can be unpleasant, right? Because you can have a breakdown in that situation. Whereas if you really take more command of your own evolutionary process, you can create your own breakthroughs. And when this sacred heart is really activated and lit up like this, with that channel of the 2551, it gives you extra energetic support to doing that. And like I said, we've had a lot of planetary activity around these two gates because they're right on that Pisces, Aries, shift point, right? And so this is an example of how you can really take advantage of this for yourself. Okay, so that's what's happening with Neptune and Saturn. And Jupiter is in the gate 45. Again, I talked about this in the Beltane video if you want to go check that out. And it's going to move into the gate 12 as of May 7th. And it's going to be there through the very first part of June. And so the gate 12 comes off here off the throat, and it's in the knowing circuit. So this is individual circuitry again, and the knowing circuit is all about, it's highly intuitive, right? And it's our ability to be receiving downloads from superconsciousness. And then the 12, which is known as the channel, is our ability to express it. Okay. So Jupiter is going to be expanding our ability to be receiving downloads from from cosmic consciousness and to be expressing them out during this about 3.5 week period while Jupiter is going to be lighting up that gate 12. So this is a really good time for, like we were just talking about, the spiritual practice, right? And so this is another energetic support for you to be receiving those downloads and for you to be able to express them. Now, this is something you can just express in your journal, right? It doesn't mean you have to get up on a soapbox and get a group together and express it, although you could if you feel called to do that, right? But you could also just do this in your journal so that you're having a dialogue with your own divine self or your own inner being, the light being within, in your journal, right? To be downloading insights for yourself. But it's also a really great time if you are a person who, who creates content, for example, or has clients and you're creating things for people, or you're a teacher, that sort of thing. Or if you are a psychic or you're a channel yourself, you're going to get a lot of extra energy while Jupiter is here. It's really, a beautiful alignment for us to have. And I think it's going to help stimulate and expand our ability to really feel into our own inner guidance and to know what it wants to say to us. Right? And this is really the kind of the primary thing that we are focusing on right now is how do we turn inward rather than outward? The activation of that sacred heart that I was just talking about. Absolutely. So much support for you to be tapping into your inner guidance, right? Because your heart is the portal to the soul plane. Your heart is where you access your own particular way of tapping into divine inspiration, divine guidance, right? And so that's really lit up. And then we have Jupiter is lighting up our ability to express it as well. So that you have a lot of support for this. Okay. And then check this out. We're going to the full moon that we have that's happening in Scorpio. Coming up on May 12th is in the gate 43. And the gate 43 is known as the Genius Freak Gate. It's known as Insight. And it's being lit up with its partner, the 23. So the sun is in the 23 and the earth is in the 43 and the moon is in the 43. So let's just talk about this 43-23 for a second, because this is one of those, this is not super common. It does happen. We have two occurrences of it this month where we have a whole channel being lit up by the sun and the earth. So right here, we've got the 43 here at the bottom of the ajna and the 23, which is the top of the throat, right? We've got that whole channel being lit up. And so this is an example of where, again, we're downloading insights, inspirations, new possibilities, new perspectives through that knowing circuit. Highly, highly intuitive, right? So don't let your mind discount these things by saying, where did that come from? That's not logical. I have no idea, right? Open to receive the insights that want to come in through that, okay? This is another example of how we're being guided to really tune inside for our spiritual information, for our guidance. And the full moon is really lighting this up because here we are in the Genius Freak Gate. Now, why is the 43 called that? It's not because it's an accurate description of the insights that come through. It's a description of what happens when you share those insights, depending on when you do it, with whom you do it, and what the situation is. Because if it's the right situation, right? The right people, the right time, then when you share that, then it's like genius. Like, wow, that's like a genius insight. Where did that come from? Right? And you're like, I don't know. I just downloaded it. Right? But if you share it with people who aren't receptive or they're too busy and distracted with other things, it's not the right situation, right? Then they can be like, wow, that's really freaky. Where did you get that? Right? And they could dismiss it. So as you're getting these insights, just be aware of, if you do share them, where, with whom, at what time. Because you don't want to have to deal with other people's resistance or other people's judgment of your downloads, right? You would, sure, you could have some positive reflection. That would be awesome. But you also don't want to have it be rejected. So whatever is coming in, I would really hold it as a gift that you're getting from the universe. And of course, that full moon is going to be lighting it up for you. And it's like, what insight is going to come in for you? What is it that you haven't seen before, or that you haven't understood before, or that you weren't willing to know, that you weren't willing to receive? Maybe you had some resistance. You had some, that's not for me going on. And the full moon's going to be like, pay attention here. So this is a really important time for you to be checking that out for yourself. Now, I will do a longer video about the full moon later in the month, but just to say to you, this is a super powerful configuration with that 4323 lit up, right? And it is an opportunity for us to be receiving insights that we usually are not necessarily either aware of or even open to. Now, here is what the full moon looks like in the human design mandala. And you can see here that, that we've got the down in the 23 is where you can see the sun. It's down towards the bottom of the chart. And the moon's going to be opposite on the other side of the mandala. Okay. So that's where the 43 is going to be there. It's not pictured here. But what I wanted to show you is at the same time, right? We've got the north node in the 36. I'm going to talk about that more in a minute. We've got Saturn and Neptune in the 25, right? We talked about that. And we've got Venus in the 17. And so we've got all this activity again happening here at the end of Pisces and the beginning of Aries. And this has been going on for a while, right? It's been going on for a while. The good news about this is that you may have been feeling, as Mercury and Venus have been going, they went forward, and then they retrograded, and then they're going forward again. And now they're moving forward. We're not going to have another retrograde with that. That you may have been feeling a little like, oh gosh, are we paying attention to what's falling away? Are we paying attention to what the new that's coming in, right? You might have felt a little bit like, where do I focus? And now things are moving forward and everything is moving into Aries. We're going to be moving out of Pisces really soon. If the things that have been in Pisces, personally, I'm going to be really glad when that North Node moves out of the gate 36, because it's the last thing that's moving out of that gate 36, which has been lit up like all fall, all winter. It's the gate of crisis, which we can move into exploration, and it does help us break patterns of the past. But oh man, that 36 has been intense. So I'm going to be glad when it moves on in June. But just to say, we don't have so much activity in that 36. I mean, we had like 5 planets there last month. So that's going to give us a little bit of a break. And then just to note one more thing here, you can see down at the bottom of the mandala here that Uranus is right next to the sun, right? Uranus is conjunct the sun in the gate 8. So let's just talk about this for a second. So Uranus is in the gate 8, has been in the gate 8 for a while, and is going to move into the gate 20, but not until July. And it's going to move into Gemini also in July. So, but for right now, Uranus is still in Taurus and is in the gate 8. And I really like to emphasize this again for those of you, we were talking about purpose earlier, right? And we will continue to work with this in the different programs that we're doing around life purpose, and in the summer semester where we're really working with that inside of the Sovereign Sisterhood, because the gate 8 is the gate of contribution and its mate is the gate of purpose. And so this is really about how the gate of purpose is self-expression, also the 1. It's like, how am I, starting to bring myself out into the world? How do I feel that? And then the 8 is the one, it's right here on the throat, helps us to activate it, helps us to manifest it, helps us to express it. So if you're feeling like you want to shift the contribution that you're making in the world, but maybe you've had resistance, maybe you've had fear, maybe you felt like it wasn't the right time, I'll tell you, Uranus in the gate 8 is going to give you all the energetic support you need to do that. And just know Uranus is also the god of awakening and sudden change, kind of the lightning, right? So if you know you need to make a change, use Uranus now to help you do it rather than waiting for Uranus to come in and give you some cosmic acupuncture that makes you have to make the change. Okay. We were talking earlier about making your own breakthroughs, right? This is another example with Uranus in the 8. You have the energy you need to create your own breakthroughs rather than waiting for something from the outside to do that for you. So go ahead and take advantage while it's lighting up for you. We're going to have the sun moving into Gemini on May 21st, and it's going to be there through June 20th. And this is going to be a really, really active time with Gemini because like I said, we're going to have Uranus is going to move into Gemini. That's not going to happen until July, but we're going to have a lot of like powerful, energetic happening in Gemini. And Gemini is already really fast and mental and lots of activity. So it's going to be an interesting time. And then we have a new moon in Gemini that's happening at the end of the month on the 26th of May. And that'll be happening in the gate 16, which is also coming off the throat over here, which is known as the gate of zest. So we'll dig into more that's happening here at the end of the month. I'll do a separate video on that for you. But just to note that this is coming up, you can put this in your calendar and you can see here that that channel, that 2551 is lit up here. Right? That one about activating that sacred heart is going to be happening with this new moon as well. So there's a lot of really great stuff that's happening, and it's a power-packed month. And I do want to just support you to, be paying attention to the energy that is coming through you and that wants to express itself. That might surprise you. It might be different. Like I said, we have so much individual circuitry lit up. We have so many different centers that are going to be lit up, so many different channels. This is a really great time for you to be taking what you're seeing that's happening in the transits and applying it to your own natal chart. In the video that I have for you that you can go and register and get right now, it's totally free for you. The link for it is down below, and you can go ahead and get that now. And then if you want to, you can take a look at the guides to understanding the human design transits later. That'll really walk you through how you do that. Because I have found it to be so beneficial for me to be like, oh, that's why I'm feeling this way. I mean, do you ever have that experience where you're like, wow, I feel so different like this week than I felt last week, right? I feel so different now than I even did yesterday. Why is that? This is why understanding how to use the transits, like you might not do that every day, right? I don't look at them every single day, but I do kind of go, what is it that is making me feel this way? And I do look forward for the month to be like, okay, when might I have more energy for this or for that? So that it helps me to plan certain activities that I have. So that can be really helpful too, right? And also when to avoid doing certain things, right? Or to check out, like, for example, with that gate 12 that Jupiter is going to start lighting up on May 7th, right? It's like, okay, I have all this extra support to be receiving and articulating my inner downloads. Am I open to that, having that happen? And if you know, for example, it's like, yeah, I've gotten downloads before, but I don't ever believe them, or I don't ever know what to do with them. I just sort of ignore them. If you know that you've had that, but you're getting that inner impulse that says, you know what? That is divine inspiration that's coming my way. Right? Because it is. When you get those downloads through that knowing circuit, I'll tell you, that is divine inspiration. It's divine guidance coming your way. Maybe this will be the time, right? Maybe this will be the time, especially with Saturn moving into that gate 25, that you can be like, okay, I'm going to actually really pay attention to this. And you can see, oh, I've got all this extra energetic support for doing things that maybe I already wanted to do, or for creating breakthroughs. You know, you need a breakthrough. You can feel it. Right? And you're not quite sure what it is yet, but you're there and you can see, all right, this energetic support is coming in for me. So these are some of the things that you can use when you're following the transits and you know how to apply them to your own chart. All right. I'm also going to be releasing some more videos about life purpose this month to help us get started to be diving into that so important topic. And I will also put the playlist that I have that is all about life purpose down in the description below, so you can get started with that right away. All right, my dears, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please do give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment. I would love to know how this lands for you. What are you looking forward to for this month? How are these transits that you see? How is that going to impact you? And what are you looking forward to? And go ahead and subscribe. You know, a bunch of you have subscribed recently. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe so you get alerted to when I release my videos. All right, my friends, many blessings. Much love. Bye for now.